Robert H. Oliver was appointed to the Fresno County Municipal Court in April of 1995 by California Governor Pete Wilson and elevated by consolation to the Superior Court in April of 1998. He served as presiding judge of the 5-Court Juvenile Department as a member of the appellate panel of the Superior Court. He served in the trial department for 11 years before appointment as judge to the probate division in 2011. He sat by assignment on the Court of Appeal 5th District, November to December 2014, immediately prior to retiring from the bench in January of 2015 after nearly 20 years of service. He practiced law for more than 22 years. He was a named partner in the firm Wild, Carter, Tipton, and Oliver, emphasizing business law and estate planning. Maybe one of the greatest parts to his resume is the fact that he has been married to his wife Stephanie. They have 2 sons, Charles, a graduate of Georgetown University, and Bradley, a graduate of George Washington University, 2 wonderful daughters-in-law, Dana and Kathy, and 5 delightful grandchildren, and so much more that we could say about his military service, and just a tremendous asset to our community, and a humble man. And now I have something that I have always wanted to say since Pigmeat Markham said it on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. Here come the judge.
Thank you, Chief. 2 pastors were meeting for their monthly accountability time together. And one pastor said, "I can't understand my kid. He just won't listen to me at all." The other pastor said, "I thought to understand a person, you needed to listen to them." So I think that makes a bit of sense. So this morning, I'm going to talk, and hopefully we'll have communication going both ways. We'll talk about that, a little bit about communication and listening. In James 1:19, it's a little bit out of context, but it says, the word says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." I could probably stop right there and we could digest on that for the next 3 or 4 days and have a lot to talk about. Many of us, we may not think we do it, talk too much and listen too little. And when we talk too much, we are sending the message to the people that we're talking to that what you have to say doesn't amount to much. And what I have to say is really important. And maybe it is. But as we'll learn, it doesn't work unless it sinks in. This is Oliver's 7 lessons of communicating, or not. And I think there's 7 because I moved things around a little bit. So, number 1, George Bernard Shaw says, "The single biggest problem in communicating is the illusion that it has taken place." Okay? Fair enough. So when we are communicating, might we take a little time once in a while to ask, "But Tommy, what do you think? Randy, does that make sense?" I will respectfully suggest to you what you do not want to say is, "Do you understand?" No. It's kind of neutral. Tommy and I are talking, do you understand? Because here's what Tommy's hearing. "Do you understand? You talking to your children? Do you understand?" Now you may say, "Randy, do you understand?" What's Randy hearing? "Do you understand?" But if you say, "What do you think about that?" I had the privilege of working at Pepsi-Cola for Bud Richter for a number of years. Started out cleaning bottles, the machine wouldn't clean. Theater of the mind comes right to the forefront. So I worked in the vending department, and part of the vending department is you clean the vending machines, with a steam cleaner. So I'm a hot-shot college kid, and so here's this guy, Greg, blue collar because it's Pepsi-Cola, and I'm gonna go clean these vending machines. And there was a bunch of them. So he taught me. He told me what he was going to do. He did it. He asked me to do it, and then he asked me to repeat what he'd said. Well, he was doing a couple of things. He was communicating and making sure that I understood, because he said it and then he asked me to repeat it, but he also told me why it was important. Don't just tell me to clean the darn machine or use the steam cleaner. Tell me why it's important. But that taught me something else. And it's really communication, because Greg wore a blue shirt and had a blue collar. And I learned when I was a college kid, and maybe I was slow learning it, that the color of a man's collar has no relationship to the content of his character, his intellect, his enthusiasm, and his dedication. And if I've forgotten that along the way, I'm sure I have. But man, what a great opportunity to work at that company as a kid and learn that lesson from Greg. Number 2, visual and nonverbal cues. If you're speaking with someone, don't sneak a look at your iPhone or your cell phone. Mrs. Oliver has told me about this. I don't know where she got the idea somebody was doing it. But you're speaking to someone, or you're in a room, and is there anything really about Candy Crush, or I don't know what this stuff is, or Facebook, or those other things that Tom knows about? I will suggest to you, think about this, and it's applicable to a jury. There's a jury of 12 folks sitting there for 3-4 days or 4 or 5 weeks. They have a lot more time than you think they have. So when you think that they're looking at the witness or the judge, they're kind of taking a look at the attorneys. And if the attorney is clearly zoned out, guess what? The jury thinks, well, it must not be that important what's going on up there, because the attorney's not paying attention. Number 3, listen and watch actively and with patience. Patience. Did I say patience? Peter Drucker says the most important thing is hearing what isn't said. I just alluded. What? Body language. Some of you have been in sales. Danny, you've talked to a few people about the opportunity to have a better life through life insurance, correct? Tommy, right? Some of you others? When you meet with a customer, a prospective client for the first time, they are nervous, apprehensive, because they think it's going to cost them money, and they really gave you the meeting just because you're nice people, and they don't think they're interested. It's not what I think is important. I said this earlier, we all think what we say is very important, so you should listen, because my needs are your needs, and my answers will fill your needs, not if I don't know what your needs are. So, part of visual and nonverbal, listen yourself into credibility. We talked about listening right at the outset. We spend, in our day of communication, about 45% is listening. The rest of it is talking and nonverbal, and there's 9% written, 16% reading, 30% speaking, 45% listening. So my note to myself said, what point do you want to remember? I'd like you to remember to listen, okay, if we take nothing else away from this. But listen yourself into credibility. Speak to be understood. The key to, one of the keys, in my humble opinion, to speak to be understood is to simplify things. Tell them, and I say them, it's anybody you're speaking to, tell them what time it is, not how to build the clock, okay? So, with that, remembering about listening and speaking in anger, and that you learn a lot of things where you don't think there's a classroom, and it can be on a tractor, it can be working at Pepsi-Cola, or it can be playing in a band. Thank you so much.